In 1970, a woman purchased an antique Raggedy Ann doll from a hobby store for her daughter Donna, who at the time was a nursing student in college and resided in a tiny apartment with her roommate Angie. Donna happily brought the doll into her apartment, and once there, the doll was tossed on the bed and quickly forgotten about. In the beginning, the girls ignored the small signs that something was wrong with the doll. From time to time, Donna would notice that the doll seemed to have changed positions slightly, but didn't seem to care much. As the weeks passed, however, the doll's movements became more troubling, and both Donna and Angie became genuinely alarmed when they returned home to find the rag doll standing straight and leaning against a chair in the dining room as if it had frozen mid-step when it heard the door open. At times, Donna would leave the doll on the bed only to find that it had mysteriously moved to the living room and was now sitting on the couch with its arms and legs crossed. The girls, becoming more and more disturbed by these strange turn of events, decided to confide in a male friend named Lou. Lou claimed that he realized that something about the doll was evil the moment he laid eyes on it, but the girls rejected his claim and said that they didn't believe in that sort of thing. But soon, Annabelle's actions got even weirder. Random, curious notes began to appear around the apartment. Donna and Angie would find strips of parchment paper upon which words like "help us" or "help Lou" would be scrawled in a conspicuously childlike fashion. But the nightmare didn't end there. One night, Donna returned home to find Annabelle in her bed with blood on her hands. The blood, or some sort of red liquid, seemed to be coming from the doll itself. Donna finally agreed to bring in a medium who could talk to spirits. The medium sat with the doll and told the girls that long before the apartment complex had been built, there had been a field on that property. A 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins had been found dead in that field. Her spirit remained, and when the doll came into the house, the girl latched onto it. She found Donna and Angie to be trustworthy. She just wanted to be safe with them. The girls, being compassionate nurses, were ready to accept Annabelle as their friend, but Lou warned them otherwise. They refused his request, feeling that getting rid of the doll would be the equivalent of abandoning a child. And even though Annabelle was not removed from the house, it seemed apparent that she was not pleased by Lou's interference. All of a sudden, Lou started having bad dreams. Dreams where Annabelle was in his bed, climbing up his leg as he lay frozen, sliding up his chest to his neck, and closing her stuffed hands around his throat, choking him out. He awoke the next morning, certain that it wasn't a dream. Lou was determined to rid himself of that doll and the spirit that possessed it. At this point, Donna decided to seek expert help. She tried to contact a member of the church, but a local priest quickly referred her to the Warrens. Ed and Lorraine Warren were renowned investigators who quickly conducted an investigation and decided that the doll was not attached to the spirit of a little girl at all. According to them, a girl named Annabelle never existed.
That doll is haunted and evil. We have a case made with her exhibit. Nobody could touch it. I knew something really bad here is happening.
It's coming after my soul because I'm the weakest.
The evil needs a body to go into. And if you're vulnerable, it's going to be you.
After completing the interview, inspecting the rag doll, the Warrens came to a startling conclusion that it was not a ghost that they were dealing with.
The woman had told them, the medium, that there was a spirit of a 6-year-old child in the doll by the name of Annabelle, who had been killed outside of their apartment house in an automobile accident. Well, there was such a child, but God does not allow a child's spirit to go into a doll. This was a devil, a demon inside the doll, which was impersonating the spirit of a child.
The Warrens went on to insist that following Lou's attack, the demon's next move would be to exit the doll and enter one of them for the purpose of complete human possession, followed almost inevitably by murder. A priest was called into the apartment along with the Warrens, and it was discovered that Annabelle's main goal was to take possession of Donna's soul. The priest eventually exorcised the apartment, and the Warrens took Annabelle away with them. They both agreed that it would be best to drive home on the back roads, worrying that if they drove on the main highways, Annabelle would find a way to cause an accident. Even on the way home, the Warrens claimed that the demon became hateful and angry. They almost got into multiple accidents. The brakes and power steering failed, and their car completely stalled out. It was finally when Ed Warren splashed the doll with holy water that things quieted down. Annabelle is still around today, residing in the locked glass case that the Warrens built to keep her from getting free and roaming around their house. There is a warning sign on the case saying, "Do not touch," as well as a cross. Some say that they see Annabelle moving around the case till this day, waiting to get free. Arguably, the most disturbing tale associated with this malicious ragdoll involves a young couple who were touring the museum with Ed as a guide. After Ed had explained the background story to Annabelle, the young man, trying to impress his girlfriend, pounded on the glass case and challenged the doll to rise up and scratch him. According to his girlfriend, just after they left the museum, they were laughing about the silly stories surrounding the doll when the man abruptly lost control of his motorcycle and crashed into a tree. While many skeptics would insist that this was nothing more than a sorrowful coincidence, the Warrens were convinced that they had incurred the wrath of Annabelle. But as always, my dear viewers, what do you believe? Do you believe that Annabelle's spirit actually exists? Let me know in the comment section down below.